Globally, human trafficking is on the increase. Syndicates target women, men and the most vulnerable, children. In Durban, one mother is holding out for news of her child who was taken over a month ago. And as Devi Sankri Governor reports, traffickers are set for life sentences if they're convicted.
This child has been missing for over 4 weeks. His family are desperate for his safe return.
If someone's got my baby, please. Just let him go. He's just an innocent child. He never do anything wrong. Please.
On the 17th of July this year, Durban mother Raylene Lowe said goodbye to her 10-year-old son Miguel as he left for his daily short walk to Ripon Road Primary School in Sydenham. For Raylene, it was just like any other day, except Miguel didn't return home.
I gave him a big kiss, you know, like it was 7 o'clock and I watched him leave the door with his sister and I still said, bye, I love you, enjoy your day.
Miguel's home is less than 500 meters from his school, just a minute's walk. A month on, Lowe's life is at a standstill.
How do you cope every single day?
It's very hard. I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't do anything. I don't know where's my child, you know, if he's okay.
It's alleged that the little boy was taken at around about 2:15 in the afternoon from outside the gates of his school, located less than a minute away from his home. But what actually happened to Miguel that afternoon?
Miguel's uncle, Bradley Benjamin, walked us through the events believed to have taken place that afternoon.
So this is where my nephew, Miguel Lowe, was last seen coming out of this gate at his school, Ripon Primary. The suspect that's in custody was said to have been seen waiting outside of the gate, waiting outside of the school gate, and picked him up as soon as he came out of the school, and he started walking in this direction.
The suspect took Miguel to the nearby KFC. CCTV footage shows Miguel and the man getting a takeaway. They then leave the shop. The suspect is then seen leading the boy into a taxi, and that was the last time he was seen. The court ordered that the 44-year-old suspect cannot be identified. He was arrested in central Durban 3 days after Miguel went missing. He denied any knowledge of the boy's abduction. At his first court appearance in the Durban Magistrates Court, Miguel's mother wept as she demanded he tell her where her son was. The accused faces charges of human trafficking, a Schedule 5 offense. This is the most serious type of crime, like murder and rape. Human trafficking carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. The accused had worked with Lowe and was hired to do odd jobs around the family's home.
When you found out that he had been arrested in connection with Miguel's disappearance, how did you react?
I was very angry. Like I could just, you know, attack him. You know, because this man, he took my child.
Did Miguel know him?
Yes, he did. I was working with him for 2.5 months, and then he had met both my children.
As far as I understand it, the charges against him have been upgraded to a Schedule 5 offense now.
Trafficking. He managed to get hold of my ID and both my children's birth certificates, which was found on him when he was arrested.
The family believes the suspect must have gained access to the documents while doing handiwork in their home. Experts say the possession of such documents point to cross-border trafficking. With increasing numbers of children abducted, investigations indicate that the purpose is for human trafficking. Anyone can fall victim to trafficking. men, women, and children. Victims are abducted, transported, and sold for sexual exploitation, forced labor, or human body parts. 21-year-old mother Zama was just 12 years old when she was lured into a sex slavery syndicate.
And then we decided to go with him by his lodge, because he told us he's staying in the flats, but he lies to us.
Once inside the lodge, Zama realized something was wrong and began to panic.
When I got there, and I saw 30 girls in the smoking walk, and they're holding pipes and lights, and I said, oh my God, what is going to happen now?
It's common for syndicates to get their captives addicted to hard drugs to create dependency. In Zama's case, it was crack cocaine. She began to sell her body to pay for her daily fix.
When the car is coming, go to the car and speak to the man. When the man is asking how much, you're gonna tell him the full house is 150 and the straight is 50 rand.
Throughout her captivity, Zama longed for her old life and family.
I think of my mother, what she's gonna think when I'm doing this thing. I'm wearing a short things. I'm not sleeping at night. I'm smoking drugs. Who I am now, I feel so lost.
With easy access to the harbour and airport, Durban is a transit point and hotbed for the supply and demand of victims.
KwaZulu-Natal has seen various types of trafficking in persons cases, and for various reasons. So for example, we've seen trafficking in persons for sexual exploitation, we've seen it for forced labor, we've seen it for domestic servitude, and we've seen for removal of body parts. So most definitely KwaZulu-Natal is a source for victims of trafficking, but also a destination for victims of trafficking for purposes of exploitation.
Senior State Advocate of the National Prosecuting Authority, Dawn Coleman Malinga, was part of the team that drew up the Prevention and Combating of Trafficking in Persons Bill. The act was signed into law in July 2013. Besides legal and special crimes units working to combat this escalating atrocity, Dawn says the general public have an equally important contribution to make.
We believe that every government department, all faith-based organizations, community-based organizations, etc., have a role to play in trafficking in persons. And the last strategic objective is the prosecution component. The Act says that a person is liable to 100 million rand fine or to imprisonment, including imprisonment for life.
The 3 men who had trafficked Zama received life imprisonment. At the Amgeni Community Empowerment Center, Tamin Timbane works as a social media manager and trawls the internet to find links between children and adults. Timbane warns of the many internet traps designed to lure in young people, such as attractive offers of modeling and acting jobs. He knows how easy it is to find victims.
A mistake that we normally do is putting way too much information on social media, and also putting way too many pictures, especially of our children, and not aware that there is actually a lot of false accounts out there, and these traffickers who actually go into social media and search for these pictures and sell them to various things, such as child porn, for instance.
Ntambane manages drama groups that go into schools to educate students about the ever-increasing dangers of trafficking in persons. From streets to malls and even churches, South African children are not safe anywhere. Durban father Mxolisi Ngwane's 3-year-old daughter, Sipesishle, was seated next to her mother at a church service on New Year's morning this year when she was snatched as her mother stood up for prayer. No one saw who took her.
And that day, I got a call by 11 o'clock telling me that she's missing. The police, they are searching, but they haven't found any solid leads. They haven't found anything. I do believe that maybe she's still alive there somewhere, maybe someone took her, but I've never felt any pain like this one. I've never, and I don't think I'll ever feel such pain in my life. It's so painful.
For parents, not knowing the whereabouts of their children is traumatic, but worse still is imagining what has happened to them, whether they are dead or still alive. Do you believe that your son is still alive?
Yes, I do. If my son wasn't alive, I would have felt something. My son is out there.
KZN police spokesperson Colonel Tembeka Mbeshle says the Durban Central Police investigate numerous cases of missing children.
As soon as a child goes missing, how soon should parents report it to the police?
If you discover that your child is nowhere to be found now, go to the police now, so that the police now are going to begin with investigation now.
What are the reasons why children are abducted?
You will never know the reason if the child is not found. Sometimes we found the children and some parts are missing. Sometimes we find the children that somewhere, maybe with a traditional healer, or sometimes it's just a child was found lying there and a child is raped. So those are the experiences that we go through.
How many children are missing currently in KZN?
From the beginning of the year up until today, 18 children are still missing.
As hope dwindles in the Miguel and Sipesishle cases, the shocking reality of the increase in child abductions in our country is something we need to prioritize. If you could speak to your son now, what would you like to say to him?
I just tell him how much I love him and I miss him, and I'm not going to give up. I'm going to find him.